Hello, I'm Darren Magee, and the topic for today comes from a question asking, what is meant by the term cognitive dissonance? Another question is, how might someone experience cognitive dissonance if they've been in a long-term abusive, neglectful relationship? So in this video, I'll outline what cognitive dissonance is and look at some common causes and signs of it. I'll also look at some of the common ways it can be experienced after having been in a long-term unhealthy relationship. So if you find this video interesting, please consider subscribing to my channel. So to begin with, cognitive dissonance is a mental discomfort that can result from having two conflicting beliefs, perceptions, or values at the same time. Human beings generally don't like things that don't make sense. We all like consistency in our perceptions, beliefs, behaviours, and so on. Having opposing beliefs or behaving in a way that goes against what we believe can cause a conflict which can lead to unpleasant feelings of discomfort and unease. The term was coined by Leon Festinger in his 1957 book, A Theory of Cognitive Dissonance, and he described how it can have a powerful influence on people's behaviours and actions, and how it can motivate them to do things to try to reduce their feelings of discomfort. This could be things like trying to rationalise something or explaining something away. It could lead to avoidance or maybe just rejecting new information. Well, I think it would be fair to say that everyone experiences cognitive dissonance to some degree and in certain situations. The most common example often used would be someone who smokes. They know smoking is bad for them, it's bad for their health, it costs too much money, but they justify their smoking by perhaps saying they have a stressful job. Or they might minimize the potential benefits of quitting. For instance, they might believe they'll end up putting on weight. They may decide their current lifestyle is of more value, so it's like the rewards outweigh the risks. They may even tell themselves that quitting might be too difficult to even try. But sometimes people can behave in ways that don't align with their personal values or goes against what they know to be true, and the resulting feelings of discomfort can cause a behavior that contradicts not only the beliefs they have about the world, but also the beliefs they have about themselves. And the level of discomfort can vary depending on perhaps how important a particular belief is, or indeed how many dissonant beliefs someone has. Could even come down to whatever personality traits may be present. But the discomfort can bring feelings of embarrassment, shame, anger, anxiety, or regret. And their level of distress can sometimes be heightened as people do whatever they can to avoid the feelings of discomfort. So some of the things that can cause cognitive dissonance would be firstly, maybe doing something that goes against your value system, your integrity. Now, maybe we do these things just to fit in, to be accepted, we fear being rejected, or sometimes there can be a fear of missing out on something. Or there could be a difficulty making a decision. Perhaps both options are equally appealing, or maybe both are equally frightening, and this can sometimes lead people to feeling stuck. Another example would be forced compliance, such as going along with something you disagree with, perhaps out of peer pressure or fear of the consequences if you don't. Now, this could be at work, it could be in a relationship, in a friendship group, could even be on social media. Another example could be maybe learning new information about something that challenges an already deeply held belief. Now, some people may deal with the new information by finding ways to justify their own beliefs or actions, perhaps ignoring the new information. In some cases, some people may find ways to either discredit the new information or the source of the information. To follow on from that, some common signs of cognitive dissonance could be looking for and accepting information that confirms existing beliefs, but ignoring or discrediting any information that might challenge or contradict. This is what's referred to as cognitive bias. Now, on one hand, it restricts critical thinking, but on the other hand, it helps minimize the feelings of dissonance. Secondly, there could be adopting beliefs that either justify, rationalize, or explain away an internal conflict. Now, this could involve someone maybe blaming themselves for things that have happened in the past, or blaming themselves for other people's actions, or indeed other things that are not necessarily within their control. However, some people might actually blame others or other situations for their own actions, things they're not particularly proud of. There could be hiding beliefs or behaviours from others, perhaps out of shame or embarrassment. For instance, someone with very strong obsessive compulsive traits might try to hide their compulsive behaviour, which can lead to even more anxiety. So to answer the second question about how someone in a long-term abusive relationship might experience cognitive dissonance, I would like to begin by saying that abusive relationships generally don't start out as abusive. The control, the manipulation, the abuse tends to take place over a long period of time. And many people in abusive relationships can struggle to reconcile the relationship they have today with the relationship they had at the beginning. They can struggle to reconcile the difference between the real version of the person they see today and the version of them they fell in love with. And also, to be fair, it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship. Being raised in a narcissistic family, it can be difficult to reconcile the public image of the family, the version that others saw, and with what went on behind closed doors. In a workplace, an organization could be doing great work, could have a great reputation, might be very successful charity or something, trying to save the planet. But it is a harsh, thankless, toxic place where there's a lot of bullying going on. So the organization's values may align with the employees, but the work culture does not. So some of the ways that people can struggle with cognitive dissonance in toxic relationships and environments could be firstly through social pressure. There may be a pressure to portray a happy, healthy relationship. So someone may try to maintain the appearance of a happy relationship even when they're facing abuse. And this pressure creates a cognitive dissonance as they struggle to uphold a positive image externally, while internally they're suffering. Next, sometimes the longer you're in a relationship, the harder it is to end it. And this can be for many reasons, but quite commonly it's because of the emotional investment. People invest a lot of time, emotional energy, even money into relationships. And even in a relationship with an abusive person, it can be challenging to accept that the relationship is unhealthy or abusive. Many people hold on to the belief that the abuser will change someday, and this leads to a cognitive dissonance between their desire for a healthy relationship and the reality of the abusive one. And we often see this with trauma bonding. Another reason for the dissonance can be how victims of abuse can sometimes feel as if they're on an emotional roller coaster. There are mixed signals of love and affection, and other times there's cruelty, intimidation, and neglect. The abuser may intermittently show kindness, remorse, or affection, and this creates confusion in the victim's mind. These intermittent positive reinforcement cycles can sometimes have victims feel as if the abuse is maybe going to end this time. The abuser genuinely cares about them. This emotional roller coaster creates a dissonance as victims struggle to reconcile the positive aspects of the relationship with the abuse that they endure. Next, there can be the fear of change. There is that old expression, better the devil you know than the one you don't. Leaving an abusive relationship or environment can be daunting and overwhelming. People can struggle as they try to weigh the perceived security of staying in a familiar yet abusive situation against the uncertainty of leaving and starting anew. What can also cause cognitive dissonance would be long-term gaslighting or brainwashing. Some people might try to justify their abuser's actions or minimize the severity of the abuse just to maintain some kind of level of sanity. The abuser might be telling them that they're going through a tough time or their behavior is only the result of external stressors. In some cases, victims may be led to believe that actually they are to blame for the abuser's behavior. But many victims of abusive relationships can often experience a wide range of cognitive dissonance due to the conflicting beliefs and emotions that they encounter within the context of that abusive dynamic. Sometimes the dissonance can play a role in keeping someone trapped in those harmful situations. Sometimes it can even keep them stuck, even after the relationship has ended. So that's a brief outline of cognitive dissonance, what can cause it, and how people in abusive relationships might experience it. If you want to learn a bit more about cognitive dissonance, you want to maybe learn how to recognize it, maybe how to address it, let me know in the comment section below. But if you find this video interesting, please consider subscribing to my channel, and until next time, thanks for watching.